Okay, that makes
He's
way
an
more sense.
amnesiac janitor who's unpaid.
Okay, you're right.
Of course, yeah.
That makes way more sense. Okay, cool.
What's good? Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of The Newest Olympian. My name is Mike Schubert. I'm the titular Newest Olympian, and we're doing things a little differently this time around. This episode is actually comprised of audio from the first act of two different live shows. So at the live shows featured in this episode, the first act was your normal classic TNO podcasting stuff, and then the second act featured long-form improv comedy and then Q&A. If you want to see video from the Berkeley long-form improv performance, that is up on Patreon. If you want to hear the Q&A portions, those will also be available on Patreon. That'll be available for any level of TNO patron, and we'll talk about this more in the mid-roll break, but let's get into the beginning of this episode, which comes from the Berkeley live show that I did with Carter Nakamoto, and it will begin right after I have greeted the crowd. The microphones were not on during the portion where everybody's cheering and I'm dancing and shooting off the money guns, and then I say hello to Berkeley. They got turned on soon after that, so we will pick it up right from there. Take it away, Mike, from the past? I don't know. Enjoy this episode of The Newest Olympian.
That stage is really tall. It is a delight to be back here in my kind of semi-hometown where I lived for 7 months. I loved it here, and it is shocking how not different it looks. I feel like when I go home to where I used to live in New Jersey, I'm like, whoa, that used to be this, that used to be that. And then walking around here, I was like, deja vu central. It was weird. I think the only difference is that I didn't go to any place where I bought food, because I feel like since I lived here 11 years ago, I'm so old. Like what does cream cost now? Like $35 for an ice cream cookie sandwich? I can only imagine. Does anyone know how much a cream ice cream sandwich is now? The one at Berkeley? Like $8. Yeah, I'm so old. When I was here, they were $3. I know. My bones. But I'm glad to be back. It's been a delightful time. I've been in Oakland. I've been in Berkeley. It's been a delight. And I'm excited to be back at this venue. Make a round of applause if you're here at the last time I did a show here. Okay. Cool. If this is your first time seeing a show, make some noise. Okay. If you're a significant other dragged along and you have no idea what's happening, or a parent or a child or something, make some noise. All right. Cool. I'm going to make sure you have a fun time too. So we have a very special guest, so let's bring that very special guest to the stage. You might know them from their incredible co-hosting work on the Seaweed Brain podcast. Make some noise for Carter Nakamoto! Hello. Thank you so much. How's it going?
Hi, everyone.
I'm so glad the bag made it on stage, because it's a very good bag and it completes the whole outfit.
Thank you. I'm very into this bag. It also has an iPad with an ebook inside of it, which is
perfect. Was that an intentional thing? Like you got the bag and you were like, it needs to be able to fit my iPad in it? Or was it just a happy accident?
I'm trying to be a literate woman on the go, Mike.
So I'm very excited. Now, you've definitely been on the pod. I feel, what of the intro questions have you answered? Like, you've done your history of the book. Have you done what your nectar and ambrosia would be? So, like, if you took a sip of nectar in the Percy Jackson universe and a bite of ambrosia, aka ideal food, ideal drink, what would they taste like to you?
I would go with a lilikoi slushy with a boba. Lilikoi, passion fruit?
Okay.
Yeah. Fair question. With seeds. The seeds are important.
Okay.
That would be the nectar. Ambrosia, I'm going to go with a good torched poke bowl.
Ooh. Yeah. Like, I don't think I've had, like, they blowtorch the top of it?
Yes. Has anyone had this? It's a great experience. You need to get, like, a really fatty cut of fish.
Okay.
And then, a little bit of sugar in the sauce also, so you get the caramelization, you get the good, like, fat searing effect. Ugh.
This is your Hawaii showing.
Yeah.
The first time I had a poke bowl was when I was in Hawaii, and it's one of those like things where it's so good there I felt spoiled because I like went to a grocery store where there's just like a full poke, like it's a deli counter but it's poke, and there were just like so many different options. And then I went to get a poke bowl like months later in either California or Seattle, and I was just like, this is nothing. What is this? What do you mean there's two choices of fish? Ugh. I was so
Love and
spoiled.
light, I do not consume it on the continent.
Yeah, look, I totally get it. That's why, like, when I'm on tour, I ask people, like, oh, where should I go to eat? And people will be very nice, and sometimes they will send me recommendations for pizza restaurants. And I'm like, I live in New York City. Why would you think I'm going to eat pizza in Des Moines, Iowa? Though I did have breakfast pizza in Des Moines, Iowa, and it's good, but that's a different type of pizza. It's pretend pizza. Let's talk about Percy Jackson. So, we're going to be covering chapters 29 and 30 of The House of Hades. They are Percy chapters, but where we last left our heroes was with the other crew. So it's with the Argo 2 folk, and Hazel just had a conversation with Pluto. And it has been a while since I've read it, so I'm even trying to refresh myself.
This was Hazel's mist power moment, right? Where she
made the
somebody
mist work.
with her Jedi mind trick turtle situation.
Yes, she got her mist powers to work, and that was very cool. But now we're getting back to Percy and Annabeth, and where Percy and Annabeth, they were dealing with the Ri, the like old demon-looking woman people who are all talking smack. So the chapter is called Percy, so of course the first thing I wrote in my notes was my boy, because I'm always excited when he comes back as the narrator. But the opening line of chapter 29 is, quote, Percy was relieved when the demon grandmothers closed in for the kill. And I wrote in my notes, is this where we left off or is this new? Because what the heck? And then afterwards, it's the Ri. Yeah, we did leave off here. There's so much happening in both storylines that when I read 4 chapters of it and then I go back, I'm like, where were we? Like, it's so, House of Hades is so dense. I love it.
Yes. I feel mostly very positive about the way that these narratives, I don't think this is a spoiler, eventually obviously link up. That's kind of the premise of the book. Right.
It would be wild if they never met up in this book.
But there are definitely these moments along the way where you have such extreme whiplash, not necessarily tonally, but where you literally, in some cases, forget.
Yes. Yeah.
What's happening? Why is this happening? But the Ri are a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm very excited to discuss them. So the Ri are here. Percy is excited to fight. Since they are just attacking him, he gets to basically just run on autopilot where he's like, well, if you're going to attack me, I have to fight you back and I won't have to think strategy. I just got to kill. So he at least knows how to do that, and he's also comfortable doing that with Annabeth. They have found themselves together in countless fights. They're in this situation all the time, so it's muscle memory at this point for them to be together. As the narrator Percy mentions that wandering around Tartarus and being hunted is unfamiliar territory, and the other thing is that this fight just feels trivial with Bob the Titan, our giant Titan friend with his broomerang. It feels so... don't give credit to Rick. He wrote that joke, not me. It feels trivial with Bob the Titan on their side. Now, Annabeth warns Bob and Percy not to touch them as they are spirits of curses.
It's a good trap for the reader. It's a good meta moment because as Percy is feeling discomfort, as he is saying, this is what we're supposed to be doing. This is autopilot time. This is time to just kind of lock in and do the thing. That is when he trips the wire. That's when we have to all fall over with him and have this experience of saying, oh, wait. But why autopilot? What does this mean? Who am I killing right now? Does that have any consequences? I guess we're going to find out.
Yeah, we will see, and it gets very interesting. I also had forgotten that Small Bob exists, the little cat friend. Bob saved a little skeleton cat, so we have Small Bob on Giant Bob's shoulders. Perfect. Where's the Small Bob merch? That's an easy slam dunk home run from Disney Hyperion. But Small Bob hides within Big Bob's coveralls, so very cute look. Now, the Ri say that they serve the bitter and defeated, the slain who pray for vengeance with their dying breath. And they tell Percy that they have many curses to share with them in particular. Percy, in response, goes, quote, I appreciate the offer, but my mom told me not to accept curses from strangers. A+, no notes. A+, no notes.
A classic.
Now, the closest monster lunges at them, and then Percy just slices her in two, easy peasy lemon squeezy, but then his chest is bloodied, like he was scratched up or, attacked. And this happened just as she vaporized into the quintessential monsters get vaporized into dust effect. Percy stumbles back in pain, and then Annabeth yells that he's bleeding on both sides. So at first, when I was reading this, I thought that she flew through him. I didn't understand how the curse thing worked. I thought it was like she dove at him, got slashed, and then the dust went through and out the other side. That is not what it is. But that's what I thought it was at first. Do you remember when you were first reading this way back, what you thought was going on? Or were you just mystified by the intrigue of the RI?
I have a bad habit when I am reading a physical book where my eye kind of pre-scans the next two paragraphs down.
Okay.
So I'm not mechanically capable of experiencing surprise for an event that occurs 2 paragraphs down the page. That being said, I did have some sense. And these chapters are a perfect use of the Rick Riordan nostalgia formula of being we have 8 of these in the bank. Mm-hmm. We're going to test your memory now. We're going to cash in. Uh-huh. Where when they mentioned Grayon, I did kind of have to pause and say I'm pretty sure I remember this. Mm-hmm. Do we? And I found it very satisfying.
Yeah, it's really fun. So, yeah, just like you're saying, Percy is trying to think about vengeance. The RI had mentioned vengeance. So his first thought is Garyon. And I had not thought about Garyon. He's from the 4th book. We're on book 9. So he instantly thinks of Garyon since that was the way that Percy killed him, what's happening to him, a strike through the chest. Garyon is this monster that had 3 different chests, and you had to get him through all of his hearts at one time. So Percy's thinking this must have been the curse related to him. The RI then bare their teeth, and they confirm that, yes, this is the curse of the pain that Percy inflicted upon Garyon. And then they ask which piece of revenge will deal Percy Jackson's death blow. They tell him that there are many to choose from, and he must choose, or they will rip him apart, which feels, I don't know, it's one of those decisions where it's can I choose D, none of the above, please? I would love to not die. So then Bob the Titan explains that if you kill an RI, you get a curse. And then Annabeth starts to say, but if we don't kill them, and Percy finishes saying they'll kill us anyway. So they're really in a bind. And when I was reading this, it just feels like you're in an impossible situation. You can't attack them, but yet they are attacking you. So what are you going to do? You can't just let it happen. You got to do something. I don't know. It's quite the conundrum. And it's unlike any monster they fought before. Because usually the monsters are just we're going to attack you. End of story. This is very... I don't know, strategic, thoughtful.
Possible mind and time for consequences, time for reflection.
Yeah, looking back. It also makes me think of, does anyone out here play Slay the Spire at all? Yeah, it's a roguelike card-playing deck-building game, but there are certain types of power-ups that the enemy can have where it's if you attack them, you get attacked back, and then you have to kind of do the mental math of oh, what do I need to... So it felt very much like that to me of what's the cost-benefit of attacking them is fending off the fight worse than whatever curse I would get, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the RI lists 2 options for them to choose from. 1, get crushed like Campe, or disintegrated like the Telekines, bringing up again all of these old things that Percy had done to other monsters.
Also Battle of the Labyrinth callbacks, both of them.
Yes.
Really, he had a specific focus. The book 4 vibe, I think, is a real phenomenon that we're experiencing here.
Definitely. Percy thinks that these beasts remind him of the Furies, but a worse version of the Furies. They don't have anyone that they serve. The Furies at least served Hades, but these RI just seem to be independently inflicting curses upon the people that they come across.
Isn't that aspirational?
Fully independent.
I have historically identified very strongly with the Grey Sisters, I think, as the mythical figures that are the best analog, the closest mothers, but the RI are pretty up there, we have to say.
They are very compelling in terms of scariest villain, because as Percy continues in the narration, he says that their numbers just keep growing and growing as they just continue to jump out of the scary trees in the underworld. It just seems like there's endless amounts of them. So it's not even a situation of, okay, there's a set number, let's kill them all, I'll deal with the curses, we'll be fine. It's I don't know that there ever is an end to this. So super duper scary. So he's worried, and then a demon leaps for Annabeth, and just purely out of instinct, she dodges and then counterattacks. And then Annabeth instantly says that she cannot see, and Percy can see that her eyes have turned pure white, which is terrifying. And it's a perfect example of Rick being very good at describing a visual where you can just see it clear as day in your head, and then immediately being very creeped out by it. The RA explained that this is Annabeth using the nobody trick that she did on Polyphemus. So much like Odysseus did to Polyphemus in the Odyssey, she did the same thing to Polyphemus in the Sea of Monsters, the second book, basically doing the whole you can't see me, and it's playing upon his blindness. He couldn't see them because of her invisibility hat, so now she won't be able to see her foes. And I thought that this curse in particular was very interesting because the first one, it's like, okay, Percy directly like stabbed a guy and now it feels like he's being stabbed. This was like more of an indirect situation. It was you used an invisibility hat so he couldn't see you, so now you can't see. So this one I thought was like way scarier because it's like, oh, we can interpret the things and we can kind of like amp them up. So it really feels at this point, I was like, anything is on the table.
Yeah, for sure. The complexity is growing. I think we're getting the sense that we don't have a full sense of the bounds of the magic system or what is possible at this point. And I think that like Garion is not very sympathetic. We remember that altercation. He is running this horrible, horrible facility, torturing these animals, all of that. But we're starting to get maybe, I don't know. I think that Polyphemus is an ambiguous case. Like this is one where he's like a human person, I would say. You know, like a being with agency.
Yes.
Who we only harm under significant risk. All that, you know, is that like there are moral consequences to like deceiving him, killing him, taking his livelihood that we're starting to experience. As we might also think about with this Percy Telkine situation, which we did, we moved on really quickly from that. Do we remember this where he like kind of, like we don't pause on the moment, but in the Battle of the Labyrinth, it's a school.
Yes.
Right? He's basically blowing up a school.
He comes to grips with the fact that there are children monsters dying and he's super uncomfortable with it. So yeah, it's not just the easy peasy, this monster was super duper evil, we obviously have to kill them. It's some of the people who, you know, the Telkines, I think Telkines and Polyphemus fall in the same kind of boat of like, they're monsters and they're in our way and they are attacking us, so we kind of have to kill them out of self-defense.
Yeah.
But we don't feel great about it at any point in time. Whereas when he defeats Titans in the Son of Neptune, you're like, yeah, that guy sucked. Like, do it, kill him. But like for some of these other people, it's more ambiguous, like you're saying. And for them to curse him, then it's like, ooh, it makes you feel more guilty about it. Like, did they really deserve it?
Consequential moment.
Yeah, it's good. I like it. So Percy puts his arm around Annabeth and he says that he's got her, but he thinks, I don't know if I've got you. Like, he's immediately thinking, that's a vibe. I love to tell Kelly, I got you, when in my brain I'm like, do you? But no, I got it. I got it. Yeah, we'll figure it out. So then a dozen of the RI start to attack Percy from all directions, but Bob steps forward and slashes all of them with his boomerang while yelling, sweep! And when he did this, I was like, okay, either it's going to be Bob is completely fine and unaffected by the curses, or Bob is about to take on 12 curses at once and he is completely screwed. Turns out, totally fine. The demons explain that being a Titan is already a curse, so they needn't curse him further, which feels like a cute technicality.
Don't we agree, though? Bob has suffered enough.
He certainly has, but I don't know. Their reasoning, at least my interpretation, was they were like, oh, they're just saying he is already cursed. I guess I thought that meant you're a Titan, you're cursed, but no, maybe it's just the specific Bob situation. Oh, okay, that makes way more sense.
He's an amnesiac janitor who's unpaid.
Okay, you're right.
He's cursed,
That makes way more sense. Okay, cool. But yeah, so they said, like, why curse him further? And I was like, because he clearly has just demonstrated that he can kill all of you. But if they are in endless numbers, then I guess maybe they're not worried. Oh, okay, yeah. They go on to continue to say that Percy already wiped his memory. That's a curse enough. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, sorry. So much has happened with these, and I was a really good boy, and I read these chapters like days in advance so that I could be really prepped for this. So Yes, they say that the curse that Bob is going under is curse enough. So Bob then lowers his weapon because they have now explicitly stated what has not been stated yet, which is that Percy wiped his memory. So when someone directly says to him that Percy has wiped his memory, he lowers his weapon. And then Annabeth, who had been worrying about this in the previous chunk of chapters last time, she was worried that this was going to happen. She tells Bob, don't listen to these evil hags. Percy then feels the whole world slow down, like in a movie when it feels the whole world slow down. And he likens this to when he faced off against Ares and the shadow of Kronos passed over him, slowing down time. I didn't remember this happening. Did you? Or like, I mean, to my credit, I've only read The Lightning Thief once, but I didn't remember the shadow of Kronos passing over Percy. I remember things slowing down when he went into like ADHD battle senses mode, but I didn't remember a Kronos inflicted time slowing down.
I want to say that this is actually a reference to a different altercation that maybe
With
happens
Ares?
very briefly in the Titan's Curse with the Aphrodite link up, but I don't feel that confident about that. I think there's something later that involves an Ares curse and a Kronos curse and something about not being
Okay.
able to lift the sword that is in the Titan's Curse. I think
Okay.
like there's a combination, like something happens with Ares where like it's not
Because
an
there was like a
actual
brief
fight.
thing where he was like Ares was going to get mad at him with the Aphrodite limo thing in the junkyard in the Titan's Curse.
Yeah. Let me not speak too much out of my bag.
Spoiling, sure. Cool. Totally fine. Chill. Yeah. I hadn't remembered this.
Hey,
It
it's
is what
Mike
it
from
is.
the future here. So I went back into this line to see exactly what Percy was talking about here. And he did specifically call out the fight with Ares on Santa Monica Beach. So it was about the Lightning Thief. So I went back to the Lightning Thief and I read the section about the fight. And there's a point in which Kronos stops Ares from continuing the fight with Percy because after Percy gets him in the ankle, I think Ares wants to take real revenge on him there. And Kronos stops him because he wants Percy to be a pawn. And then Percy feels this chill and he doesn't know who Kronos is at the time. So he doesn't know who it is. And then he talks to Grover and Annabeth about it. And they're like, oh, it was probably the Furies overhead. So that was what he was referring to. I completely forgot that this was a thing. And then what Carter and I were talking about on stage was the whole Ares curse thing, where then in the Titan's Curse, his sword failed him when he needed it most, blah, blah, blah. But what Percy, the narrator, was talking about here was that chill of Kronos intervening in the fight with Ares in the Lightning Thief. Anyway, back to the podcast.
So he feels the world slow down, and then Bob says, my memory, it was you? And I wrote in my notes in all caps, oh no! The RI encourage him to curse Percy, and Percy says that it's a long story, but he just wanted Bob to be his friend and no longer an enemy. But the RI add that Percy's way of making him a friend was to steal his life and leave him to be a janitor for Hades.
Did they lie?
I don't know.
Did they lie?
Well, he didn't know about the janitor part, but he did just kind of move on immediately. It was the classic like Greek hero thing that heroes are often accused of, which is you are nice to someone for as long as they are useful to you, and then once they are no longer of use to you, you move on.
Right. This
Now,
is
is
this
this-
a big book for the accountability for Percy, for the follow through,
Yeah.
movement building, like, yeah.
It would be funny though if Percy was like, look, it was a Percy Jackson spinoff book. None of us knew Bob was coming back.
Main canon readers didn't know about you, so we couldn't spend time on you in the Son of Neptune. Sorry.
If my comment section was any proof of like the general fandom, there were a lot of people who were like, I didn't read the Demigod files, so when this was happening, I had no idea what was going on. And speaking of the comments, this is a good time for me to identify what people have pointed out, which is correct, which is that I have been, I think, sometimes conflating the House of Hades with Hades' house, which is different. Like the House of Hades is different than like the palace or
He doesn't live in the House of Hades.
Right. What's the name for like where he is like when they visit him in the Lightning Thief? Is that just like his temple, his
palace?
his palace?
Maybe?
Okay, his palace.
Yeah,
An emphatic
yeah,
nod
yeah.
from
We're
someone
seeing
in the front
nods,
row.
we're
His palace. So yeah, like I think I've been conflating a little bit because I think I said something about the janitor thing of like, oh, Hades is bossing them around. But is Bob being a janitor at Hades' palace or at the House of Hades? At the House of Hades. Like the title of the book one, not the place where Hades lives.
I think it's in the palace.
The House of Hades. So the
Yeah,
palace,
yeah.
the palace. Okay, so Hades is, see? So he's a janitor where Hades lives in his palace. Okay. Erebus. Oh, but I thought Erebus is like the land though. It's the primordial god and his house. Okay, of course I'm a little bit familiar with Erebus because of Hades the video game. But in Hades the video game, they call it... Don't they call it the House of Hades? Yeah, see? This is why... my subconscious, that's why I'm so confused. Because in my main point of reference, they call it the House of Hades. What did you say? Sorry, I was too...
You gotta take it up with the developers, and you gotta get Rick on a call, maybe, with them. They're kind of the two authorities at this point, and if their stories aren't lining up...
My dream episode, whenever I finally finish the Newest Olympian, I'll have to get the Supergiant Games and Rick Riordan and get them in a room. My final episode.
Lead the summit!
So, okay, we've clarified that up, at least I think. So Bob, janitor, where they actually live, not the House of Hades, where we're going to, I think, visit, as the title would suggest. Annabeth and Percy then are talking. Annabeth asks Percy which way they should head if they need to just run, and Percy thinks we have no chance if the plan is to run. Percy then goes into bard mode in D&D, where he tries to talk his way out of the situation. He says, quote, Bob, listen, the RI want you to get angry. They spawn from bitter thoughts. Don't give them what they want. We are your friends. And look, that's good. Like, if you're going to try to do it, good attempt. We'll see if it works. At least that's like the right approach. Percy, though, internally feels like a liar when he says this. He knows that he left Bob behind in the underworld, and he fully admits, I have not thought about this guy once since the Demigod Files. Percy hated being used by the gods as a pawn throughout his life, and he realizes, oh, I am now guilty of doing that to Bob. I'm no better than them.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's really like this is very big of Percy to realize. I think it's a very interesting character development chapter for Percy.
Yes, huge character development. And might I say, I think this is actually us beginning to deal with the consequences and the fallout of the Last Olympian in a real way. When he has his whole cathartic speech, I'm not going to become immortal. This is what I want from you instead. The fact that he doesn't follow up on that, and the fact that there aren't, I mean, I guess you could say the laws of immortality is a consequence, but like he didn't want to be immortal. Like he had other reasons other than his noble quest for the dignity of all of the children of the gods. And so like this is the first moment we're actually seeing him like on both of these ends with Bob, with all of these different like monster killings that have occurred, to begin to actually internalize like, oh, this is what it means for me to take a side in that and to say that actually the path of the gods and all of the pros and cons of that is wrong, and I need to atone for that in a real way.
Yeah, his thing with the Last Olympian and the immortality was more of like addressing that the gods didn't handle it well, and not necessarily as much of like his role in their plan.
Yes.
This is him coming to grips with like, okay, yeah, you recognize what they did was bad, but also like you did their bidding a lot. So now you need to think about how what you did was bad. Yeah.
Exactly. In the Last Olympian, his whole thing is like, I'm with the people. Like I'm one of them. We are standing up against you. Mm-hmm. And who are you working for? Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So the RI pick up on this guilt that Percy is feeling, and they call Bob's attention to Percy's face, which cannot hide the guilt. I feel kinship as someone with a very expressive face, which has done good and bad. My buddy Sal, who is backstage and will be doing some of the improv, famously once called me out because we would watch a lot of other improv shows, and I can't hide on my face when I am not enjoying watching an improv show. There will be a couple times where Sal would be like, yo, Mike, it's really obvious that you're not having a good time. You need to like... What if someone sees? Look, if you can't follow, yes, and come. It's so easy. So the RA call attention to Percy's face. Can't hide the guilt. They ask if Percy ever visited Bob after wiping his memory, and Bob says, no, the other one did. And I wrote, Nico? Wow. Very big.
Can we make some noise? Can we have a moment?
Nico.
We all knew who was going to do the real work, who was going to show up, who was going to follow up, who was an institution builder and an accountability holder.
Mm-hmm. Nico, this is good for me because as I've been saying on the podcast, like up until like this, I mean, there's been other parts, but like I know everybody absolutely loves Nico, and I'm still like, all right, I can't wait to eventually get to the part where he does some cool stuff because he just keeps having horrible things happen to him. I fully understand the like, we feel bad for Nico, but like so far there's not been like, oh my gosh, what a wonderful, perfect person. And now this is like a big like first thing.
Are you Team Jason? Would you have left Nico on the side of the road?
No. I don't hate like Jason's thought there, but it's more of just like the love that people have for Nico, for me, just has not met like what's been happening, because he just keeps like getting ready to do stuff, and then he gets shoved in a jar and knocked out by cutlery and hit with a bunch of plates and turned into a corn plant. Like, he spends so much time suffering that I haven't like gotten a lot of stuff. Or he's like, all right, Percy, blah, 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 I'm gonna go leave for a book and a half. Like, I'm very pro Nico. I've just been waiting for the cool stuff, and this made me like jump my appreciation for him a lot.
Okay, Nico has suffered greatly. However, I think this is revisionist history. Percy would have lasted a full, I want to say, 2 hours in The Last Olympian if Nico hadn't taken his butt down into the river and made him get in there.
He did kind of lie so that he could talk to his dad and get Percy thrown into a jail, but he did break him out of the jail.
Okay, yes, there's a
Nico.
complicated narrative.
Pro Nico.
Yeah, but he's not like auxiliary to the core narratives of the book, and it's not like he hasn't demonstrated his capabilities.
I think it's just been in limited bits and pieces here. Like, we've never had a Nico narrated chapter in these books yet. Like, he just keeps, much to my dismay, like, I'm actively rooting for more cool stuff from Nico. And this, I thought, was like a really big thing to learn that he did. And it made me really appreciate him even further. Now, Percy doesn't know who the RI are referring to, which I don't know how Percy doesn't. Bob says Nico, and he says, Nico visited, told me about Percy, said Percy was good, said he was a friend. That is why Bob helped. So not only is Nico visiting, but he's being really nice about Percy, someone who he does have like a bit of a, struggle history with. It's not all unicorns and rainbows. So clutch stuff from Nico D'Angelo. Absolutely clutch. Try not to spoil.
So okay, the personal story of my podcast is that I spoiled specifically Nico's journey in the House of Hades to my co-host when it came out in 2014.
Don't do it to me.
So, tonight we're having a moment of growth. We are choosing a different path.
I appreciate it. So the book ends chapter 29 with the following quote, but ... Percy's voice disintegrated like someone had hit it with a celestial bronze blade. He'd never felt so low and dishonorable, so unworthy of having a friend. Also, I've been using the British PDF, so it's dishonorable with a U. The RI attacked, and this time Bob did not stop them. And then I wrote a note, okay, so not the worst possible situation, Bob joining them, but it's not ideal either. But it's the end of chapter 29, which I have retitled, It's All Coming Back to Bob. Do you have a retitling of chapter 29? If it was not just called Percy?
Nothing clever.
Okay.
Accountability. White boy takes responsibility for the consequences of his actions.
I love it. That's good. That's very good. Let's keep it rolling into chapter 30, which just Roman numerals, love them. 30 goes hard. XXX as Roman numerals. It just looks and powerful. Obviously, there's the other connotation, but like it's let's all think of the Vin Diesel movie instead. So it's a Percy chapter. We'll retitle it. The opening line is left. Percy dragged Annabeth, slicing through the RI to a clear path. And of course, since this line included slicing through the RI, I was like, that's not going to be good. We know what's going to happen. We're going to get some curses. Uh-oh. So he figures that a dozen curses are coming his way, but he doesn't feel them instantly, so he's kind of just powering through, trying to very much deal with it later, procrastinating the pain. We'll worry about this. This is a problem for future Percy.
These are also, might we say, excellent Perciveth chapters, in my opinion.
They're very good. I've said this on the pod. I feel like it's so interesting that the most we're seeing of their relationship is in the wildest circumstances, being in Tartarus. Like, because for all the other stuff, they've never actually like really just been able to be together and be a couple. So it's such a fun contrast of like the first time that we get to see them be a couple together being cute and stuff is when they are in hell. It's wild.
Absolutely.
It's so good.
And
so
that's
fun.
why none of the other girls could compare.
Yeah.
Who else is going to... I don't think that we need more instances of people describing the nature of their relationship to each other. Mm-hmm. I want to see what it looks like when one of you is temporarily blinded by an RI and is being led through on the side and are strategizing about what to do about the fact that the Titan is maybe also going to turn against you and kill both of you. Like, that's real development. That's how you actually see what's up.
Yeah. I've really enjoyed seeing the Persebeth stuff, and I don't know that I ever would have guessed that like the most lovey-dovey chapters are as they trudge through Tartarus. It's awesome. It's such creative stuff for Brick. So Percy figures that these curses are coming his way. His chest is throbbing in pain. He darts through trees, just leading Annabeth along. And narrator Percy says, quote, Percy realized how much she trusted him to get her out of this. He couldn't let her down. Yet how could he save her? And if she was permanently blind, no. He suppressed a surge of panic. He would figure out how to cure her later. First, they had to escape. So clearly, like, he's worried, as he should be. It's a big task, but he is going to do it. He's going to get his way through, and I like it. He hears that the RI are in pursuit of them, so he slashes a tree to make the tree fall down on top of them. I like this. Smart. Makes me very much think of if anyone's playing Smash, whatever the most recent one is, where you can be Villager and you plant a tree and you chop it down. The only thing I do when I play Villager, if you play me in Smash and I'm Villager, I'm doing one thing. Two things. I'm growing trees, I'm chopping them down. I'm not doing anything else. It's my preferred way of playing as Villager. He does this move, which I think is genius. And then narrator Percy says, quote, if a tree falls in the forest and crushes a demon, does the tree get cursed?
Who else had this question?
I thought
genuinely was like, this seems like a loophole.
I was wondering, like, is this going to work? Or is it the whole, like, oh, I didn't kill them, the bullets killed them. Like, it's a very interesting...
Yeah.
The transitive property is finding its way in there. In what way are we going to take it? Also just a very funny line for Percy. He then does this repeatedly. That does buy them some time, but not enough time. Percy stops their sprinting abruptly to save them from going over the edge of a cliff. So, if there weren't enough tough situations, we also have to deal with falling off a cliff now. And he cannot tell how far down the drop is, but he figures that a fortunate fall in Tartarus is not really going to be a thing. So he decides, okay, we're not going to jump and press our luck. Either we got to go left or right along the ridge. He's about to choose just a direction at random, but then a demon swoops down below, and the hive voice of the RI, I've forgotten they had like a hive mind voice. The hive voice of the RI asks, are you enjoying your walk? The worst thing to hear. You're going through a really tough, stressful situation, and then they infantilize what's going on. Oh, terrifying. Ugh.
Again, aspirational.
It is good.
Do you not want to be out with the girls and speaking in your hive voice, terrorizing the community?
It's really good trash talk. As an appreciator and user of trash talk in sporting events, like, it's a very good trash talk to, basically say, like, ooh, you got a little boo-boo? Like, it's really good. Are you enjoying your walk? Phenomenal. Percy turns around, and all of the RI have formed a semicircle, blocking them in, and then one grabs Annabeth's arm, so Annabeth judo slams it on its neck to death. Pretty cool. She now looks terrified in addition to being blind. She calls out for Percy, and Percy says, I'm right here, and he tries to grab her shoulder, but then she moves, and he tries again, and then she moves a couple feet away again, and then she starts screaming, why did you leave me, Percy? And that made me, like, actively squirm in my seat when I was reading it. Like, I felt genuinely uncomfortable just because he didn't leave you, but whatever she's going through must be really scary. And I don't like when it's, like a miscommunication kind of thing. And I feel bad. It's like, no, he didn't leave you. It's so scary. I was really terrified.
Did you, at this moment, start registering your guesses about what
No
the
idea.
was?
Did you? It completely took me by surprise what the result ended up being.
I don't want to hype up my 14-year-old self too much, but I do have a memory that could obviously be fake and constructed of reading that line and saying, like, I knew that they were winding up to this. Like, what is the worst curse left for Percy? Who's the person he's wronged?
Yeah.
Who is the most sympathetic? Mm-hmm. And where the punishment will be the most literary and dramatic.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll all see what it is. So Percy yells that he didn't leave her. The RI then described the curse. Quote, a bitter thought from someone you abandoned. You punished an innocent soul by leaving her in solitude. And then once she said that, I was like, oh no. Now her most hateful wish has come to pass. Annabeth feels her despair. She too will perish alone and abandoned. Percy doesn't get it at first. Annabeth is trying to feel around for Percy calling out his name, which is just like such a heartbreaking, like I was very clearly able to see this, and it's just a crushing thing to envision.
Annabeth is trying to feel around for Percy calling his name. Percy asks, "Who did I abandon?" And he tries to assert that he never abandoned anyone, but then he feels a pit in his stomach. Narrator Percy then says, quote, "The words rang in his head, an innocent soul, alone and abandoned. He remembered an island, a cave lit with soft glowing crystals, a dinner table on the beach, tended by invisible air spirits." And I wrote in my notes, Calypso, oh my God, because, it's so good. It's so crushing and devastating, but so good. And I was trying to remember what happened and how he left it, but I'm guessing she died after the fact. Because, like, he left and they, like, tried for it to be on as good terms as possible. But it wasn't great.
Yeah.
He's about to, like, explain it a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, he quietly then says, "She would never curse me," but then he starts to lose his vision as the pain in his chest grows significantly worse. And then Annabeth is still wandering amongst the RI looking for Percy. He wants to keep her safe, so he wants the demons focused on him for as long as possible, so he screams in rage and attacks. Oh, man. But yeah, for like the Calypso stuff, like at this point, we don't know exactly like what it all went down. He's just trying to think, but he's also trying not to think. But
the like last place we left off in the book, right, was that he has the kind of carve out clause in his long wish, demand, present from the gods that Calypso and all the peaceful Titan kind should be pardoned. And I mean, they really hammer the motifs in this book. I mean, like, did he follow up on that? Did anyone check in? Has he seen her since then?
He didn't. No, he just, it's like a different version of the Bob thing. Didn't like follow up. So
yeah,
that was a tough chapter. Like that was a very emotional chapter when he left Calypso on the island, and there's this whole like, sliding doors. Could this have worked out? Just very touching in many different ways. And for that to now be turned from, this was just this sad thing, but she understood and they talked about it and he tried to do this good thing on his way out, and it's, a bittersweet trying to make as good of a situation as we can out of it, for us now to learn like, actually that didn't turn out as good as we meant. Like, I didn't even feel great about it when we read it, and now we have to feel worse about it. We don't know the full details, but at least like it's not what we thought it was.
And Rick also is taking this opportunity to strengthen the parallels from what we're getting from Percy and Annabeth here to what we can only assume is the reference myth for their whole journey in this book, and probably now one of the most beloved 2020s Greek myths, which is, of course, Orpheus and Eurydice. Like, you need to give them the touchstone moments of being like, have we lost each other in hell? What is what is the role of faith? How have our prior mistakes potentially caught up to us,
right,
as we're trying to do an impossible task?
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. That's the end of chapter 30, which I have retitled "Cursed by My Own Petard." Do you have a retitling of chapter 30?
Accountability for a white boy part 2? I don't know.
Yes, I love it. That's fantastic. Well, that is the end of this portion of the episode. So if you are listening to the podcast after the fact, we're going to take our mid-roll break, the House of Headlines. So let's all say goodbye to the podcast people. Goodbye. Hello and welcome to the House of Headlines New York City edition. I am out and about with Kelly and the baby in New York City, but I've dipped into a quiet room along our travels so that I can record the mid-roll break and the intro and all the other stuff for this episode so that I can finish editing it on our ferry ride home. But I've got some updates and stuff with the podcast. We've got information to share with you all about the improv that I talked about in the intro, so let's talk about that. So what I did for the Berkeley show is I was able to film the improv comedy set that we did. I just propped my phone up and I did so on my suitcase that I had the merch in it in the crowd. It's not a perfect video, but it's pretty good. And I'm going to put that one up on the Patreon. So if you are any level of patron at the TNO Patreon, thenewsolympian.com/Patreon, you'll be able to see the video from this live show. And if you are a bonus episode tier patron, you will have seen that we already posted the one a couple of weeks ago from the Denver show that also had some long form improv comedy. I might eventually put these up on the TNO YouTube, but first and foremost, I wanted to give first dibs to patrons. So if you want to check out what that improv comedy was like. It was really fun. We had an absolute blast doing it. Just head on over to the TNO Patreon. And if you're at any tier, you can watch the improv comedy from the Berkeley live show. I was unable to film the one from the Boise show just because I couldn't get a situation set up with a camera recording just because of a bit of a time crunch. I couldn't get it set up in time before the show, but I was able to film the Berkeley show. Speaking of live shows, we have one on the horizon right now, and that is in Brooklyn, New York on August 15th. That will also have some improv comedy. I'm assembling a team of improvisers that I know in New York City. The people that I've confirmed so far are very talented, so I'm super stoked for that. And then, of course, we'll also be covering part of the House of Hades. I think will be towards the end. I'm going to have to do some at-home recordings in between because we're going to run out of live show stuff, so we'll finally have some studio episodes for the House of Hades. So it'll probably be end of book 4-ish stuff, and I'm excited about who I have in mind for guesting and special guesting and Q&A running. I'm really going to try to do it big for this New York City show. So if you want to get tickets, head on over to thenewestolympian.com/live. It's going to be at Littlefield in Brooklyn, and I'm very excited to bring that to you. It's a really fun venue, and it's going to be a really fun show. Now, I've mentioned the Patreon, so let's give a shout out to the folks who have joined the Patreon most recently. Shout out to our newest God Tier patrons, Sam Spellman and I Am Kingfish, and shout out to our newest Demigod Tier patron, Natalie Riploggle. Thank you all so much for your support. May Apollo bless you that if you're deciding whether or not to bring sunglasses out on a day, you choose correctly. I feel like oftentimes I say, nah, it's not going to be that sunny, and then it is really sunny, and then other times I bring my sunglasses and I don't wear them at all, and they just take up space in my bag. Hopefully Apollo helps you avoid this fate. But yes, shout out to all of our patrons. And if you are at the live stream Q&A tier or above at the Ultra God tier, you'll see that I've done a couple Q&As recently. I've done some late night. I'm doing chores around my house Q&As. And then I also did one while I was on tour in North Carolina where I did the whole thing from a porch and the vibes were off the charts. So those are up, and I'm trying to do more and more of the Q&A live streams and the bonus episodes. I've recorded a bunch of director's commentaries. I need to bulk upload all of them. So getting stuff up on the Patreon, and I'm excited about it. Now, for all caught up in the Newest Olympian, and you're looking for some new content to consume, you're in luck because I make a whole bunch of stuff. And one thing that I make with my buddy Adam Amawala is a comedic basketball podcast for beginners and experts alike called Horse. And now is a perfect time to listen because the NBA playoffs are raging on. The first round has been very, very good, and it's just about to end. There is so much drama in these NBA playoffs, and the WNBA season is just starting. It's in the preseason, and there's so much drama going on. And we specialize in covering the drama so that you can keep up with your friends or just the internet at large when they're talking about basketball drama. So if you want to be in the know, listen to Horse wherever you get your podcasts by searching for Horse or by going to our website, horsehoops.com. Now, unless you're listening on Patreon where you get access to ad-free episodes, you're going to hear words from a few sponsors who make it feasible for me to be a full-time podcaster. Some of those ads will be heard by me, such as by one of our ongoing sponsors, Quince, who makes great clothes and kids' clothes that my kid adores. And some of the ads that you're going to hear won't be read by me. Those are inserted locally. So if you live in Turkmenistan, don't be surprised if you hear an ad in Turkmen. But once those ads are complete, we'll get back into this episode of The Newest Olympian, where we will have audio from the first act of the Boise live show.
Righty. Boise, Idaho, what is good? Sorry, I learned yesterday that it's not Boise, it's Boise. I want to make sure I say it properly. I'm very excited to be here. I've only ever been to Idaho one other time. I was here in 2017 when the eclipse came through, which was really fun, but I was like in the part that's super duper close to Washington. I don't even know the name of the town. We went to a truck stop and saw it and then drove back. But that was a lovely stay, and now I'm having a lovely stay here. I've seen the airport and here, and let me tell you, Boise is wonderful. I've been suggested many different potato-based dishes, which all seem to be also dairy-based dishes because it's potato ice cream and potato chocolate milk. So I will be having all of the culinary delights. I'm very excited. But no, I'm super stoked to be here. We've got a lot to do, and we've got a wonderful guest to join for all of it. So make some noise for tonight's guest. You might know him from this podcast or our improv work doing things like A Tribe Called Yes. Make some noise for Nathan Cox! Hello, hello.
What's up, everybody? How's it going? We got any people here from Moscow? All right.
What is that? Surely not Russia.
No, that'd be Moscow. Pronounced Moscow. Am I right?
Is it spelled the same way, though?
Yes.
Oh, that must be very confusing.
It's right next to Pullman, home of Wazoo. I'm from Seattle. I'm visiting from there. So is the drive time different? Sorry to take over.
No, please. This is perfect.
I know. I have to ask,
I love this.
Is the drive time shorter to Boise than it is to Seattle from Moscow? Okay, interesting. But you're just like, I won't leave Idaho. I refuse. There's a show in my state. I got to represent for my state. I understand.
Got to rep. How have you been? How was your flight in?
Flight was good. It was short and a little bit of jumpy, and there were like a group of 8 Russian dudes
From Moscow?
Maybe.
They were like, we've heard of other Moscow. We must go.
And they were
We must
all,
go to the Moscow in Idaho.
They were all kind of the like young broccoli-haired variety, and
The llama cut. Yes.
correct. And they had no volume control, and like, we're just having an open conversation across all of their.
Oh,
8
that kind of
seats.
volume. I thought you meant hair volume. And I was like,
No, I'm sure they all had their own hairbrushes on the flight as well. But yeah, they were having a conversation that literally everyone on the plane could hear.
That's
which
disappointing.
Was, thankfully just an hour flight, but not too bad.
Oh, man. Well, let's have an hour conversation that everyone does want to hear. We are going to be talking about chapters 31 and 32 of The House of Hades. And it is... this book's really good, folks. It's really fun. This section is really juicy. These are Percy chapters where we last left our heroes. They were going through all of the curses. Basically, they're fighting the Auri, who are these evil demons. Hey, let me just get a quick... who here... Is there anyone dragged to the crowd who has no idea what's going on with Percy Jackson? Okay, awesome. Sweet. We're going to make the show fun for everybody. So, I just want to cater. Basically, Percy and Annabeth, 2 of our main heroes, find themselves trapped in Tartarus, in the underworld. They have been recently dealing with these Auri. They're these like evil demon older women that have a hive mind voice situation. And we've learned the hard way that if you slash them, you take them down with a sword or whatever, they instill a curse upon you. And it's like the final breath of someone that you've wronged in the past. And then it takes shape as a curse upon you. And it's very intense. These are, I think, the best villains that they've had to fight. Like it's the most complex villain that they've had to face, and I think it's very compelling.
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of just like existential dread. Like some of the other monsters, it's like I don't want to be attacked by this thing and like torn apart by teeth. But I'm like, is that better than what these things do to you?
It's at least simpler. Like some of the other monsters, are just like it's a big giant. I need to attack the big giant and not get hit by the big giant's fist. But this is like, oh, do I attack it? Then I feel pain, and also the pain is my fault. Oh, I have to think about things. Reckoning with my past. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Also, like he would never do this, but like if you simply don't attack them,
yes,
are they only going to attack you with their like hag claws?
Right.
And like that's the only damage you're dealt, but you don't get dealt psychic damage.
Oh,
I'm getting into D&D language now.
I like it. I like it.
That like, what's worse to just be like, oh, they cut my head off and I'm dead, or to be like, I'm going to suffer through every single wrong I've ever afflicted on any living thing in the entire course of my existence as a people pleaser. That's like this. I have so much to say about these monsters. Like that is like, I'm already like, oh, I hope I don't like hurt people's feelings or make them not like me or whatever. Yeah. But if I'm thinking about there's a possibility that I may be like doomed for all time, but not by some like universal arbiter of justice, but just a single person who I cut off in traffic. Like I'm going to be in Tartarus being like run over by their car for eternity.
That would be very fun if like mixed in, because so far the ones we've seen with Percy have all been like big, impactful things. It would be funny if there was some like thing he had no idea, you know, to the effect of you cut someone off in traffic, like something seemingly very minor.
Well, like one of
the dying breath of someone would be really funny.
One of the like curses that he kind of experiences for a moment, he's like, oh, some weren't as bad as others. And one is like, oh, my blood kind of ran cold for a moment. And I'm like, that seems pretty minor, but that was probably a cut off in traffic type of situation.
We'll see. Let's get into it. So this chapter 31, is called Percy. Obviously, we will retitle it, but it opens with, quote, "For one exciting minute, Percy felt like he was winning." And I wrote, oh, because just 1 minute, that's not enough time. He's slicing. He's dicing. Some of the RI are running away in terror. Others are falling into the chasm, and his pain is growing with each kill. Some curses are intense, like burning and stabbing pains, and then other more subtle, like chills or twitching eyes. And then narrator Percy wonders, quote, "Seriously though, who curses you with their dying breath and says, 'I hope your eye twitches'?" Pretty good.
Great point.
It's a good point. Now, this is the first time that Percy has considered the monster killing that he's done across his career from the monster's perspective. So he's actually starting to think like, oh, on the other end of Riptide, what's going down? Did everybody deserve it? I like that he has to think about this. We were talking about this in the last episode, just like it's the first time Percy really has to come to grips with his actions. It's the first time he's dealing with consequences. It's the first time that he is recognizing like the part that he played in the god's plan. Like he doesn't like being a pawn, but he has to, sometimes pawns kill other pieces on the board.
But it really feels like it shouldn't have taken this extreme for him to have reflected upon that for the first time.
Yeah, I can see it. One, he's a teenager. And
sure.
two, he keeps getting thrown into all these scenarios without a lot of time to like reflect.
Right.
And three, most of the baddies that he does defeat, like it's very rare that it's a complex killing. I think one that did come up was with the Telekines, because it was like in the volcano and then it's like a school, they're kids, they're monsters, but they are like, younger monsters. So it's not as good as killing like a full-fledged, evil shark dog thing like they were. So I feel like it's rare enough that he has a person that he defeats that he actually has to think about that. Like, I didn't find it too surprising.
No, but I don't know.
It shouldn't have. You are right. You are right. It should not have taken this long. I am just trying to understand why. Like, I'm trying to see if I can reason with why it took this long.
Sure. And just the classic, oh no, the consequences of my actions. Coming back to me.
Reaping. This is great. Sowing. What the heck?
Can't believe it.
Mm-hmm. So the RI are coming in seemingly endless numbers. Percy is growing tired physically, just exhaustion from fighting them off, and also more and more pain from the curses that are stacking up. He tries to reach Annabeth, but she's always just out of reach. Annabeth has this curse going on where, he can't grab her. She can't see also, and she felt like Percy's abandoned her. He's trying to grab her. He just can't do it. And then he gets bit in the thigh by a demon, and he slashes it to death. But then his mouth burns worse than when he drank from the Phlegethon, the fire river that has been giving them sustenance in the underworld. And it is the curse of Phineas. And I completely forgot about this. The whole poison trick foresight guy from Portland, where he did the thing like called Gia's bluff and said, you want me to be your big pawn, make this guy die from drinking the poison. So like, that was fun to like get some of the greatest hits, so to speak, and ones from farther away books, one from more recent books.
Yeah.
It was really interesting.
I was last on this show 2 years ago in Denver for some Lost Hero chapters.
Yeah.
And when you were like, hey, I want to have you on again, I was like, cool. And so in the last month, I've read from like halfway through Lost Hero to now. So for me, I was just like, oh yeah, that guy.
Oh yeah, Phineas from yesterday.
From 2 weeks ago. I know that dude. Weed whackers, Portland food trucks. Yeah, I know everything about this man. Which was like it was one of the most brutal deaths I think that he's inflicted on someone else.
Yeah, they describe the poison as being quite intense and quite painful. And as we'll see over these chapters, that curse in particular is something that seems to linger because it's, some of these others, there's pain and we'll see if Percy finds a way to heal himself, but like the poison will come back. The poison remains. So It was intense. I mean, it was so intense that this guy just drank it and then like immediately perished. So strong.
And like I really love the description of like what starts to happen to his body. Like his like forearms are steaming. And it's like his entire body is starting to kind of like fall apart or rot or like different things like that. And to me, I'm like, yes, it like Greek myths are so like heinously disgusting a lot of the time. What happens to people. I'm like, we've finally reached Rick Riordan's body horror chapters.
I was gonna say, if they get to this in the TV show, bring in Sam Raimi to direct this episode.
So on board with that.
Oh man, yeah, it's fun, and I think Rick is having a lot of fun having the older audience book series where he can do things like get into more complex subjects, talk about harder things, make things a little scarier because your target audience isn't, 8 anymore. They are like 12 to 16. I don't know how the age brackets work, but it's old enough to make a creepy, spooky chapter like this.
Right, yeah.
And he does it in a way where like, I think probably the older you are, the more gross stuff you can conjure up. Whereas if you're a kid reading this, you're probably like, ew.
Yeah.
Not as bad as me being like, oh, I can really see what he's describing.
To me, the equivalent is like, I don't know if you watch the show, but this feels very much like season 4 Stranger Things.
Ooh.
Like in the upside down.
Vecna's all tentacly.
Right, exactly.
I stopped after season 2, but I know enough to get by in a conversation.
Yeah, there's like demon bat monsters tearing people apart, which is like just exactly like this.
Yeah.
Very reminiscent.
What strange things are happening in that town. So Gia warned Percy in that moment that his death, Percy's eventual death, would be more painful than drinking Gorgon's blood. Gorgon's blood is this poison that they've had to drink. And Percy thinks that this is a worse situation than that, but he doesn't want to die like this, and he vows that he's not going to go out like this. And I wrote in my notes in all caps, yeah, we got more books to write.
It's also definitely better because, like, as you're dying next to the Portland food trucks, you can be like, "One sushi burrito." Like, final meal, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. And Percy doesn't want to die this way, not only because he views it as a shameful way to die, but also, and I think more impactful, is that Annabeth needs him, and he doesn't want to die in a time where Annabeth is in need of help, and he's right there, and he feels like he should be able to help her. The demons are now trying to guess which way he will die, and Percy says, "Bob, I need you." But he has little hope that this plea will work because, as we remember from a couple chapters ago, Bob the Titan has learned that Percy is the one who wiped his memory, so he isn't really inclined to help Percy because he's been lied to, which I get it. Makes sense.
It's really sad to me that the scourge of online betting has really gone all the way to Tartarus. They're taking bets on how he's going to die.
I'm glad you made the joke because I was like, what is this, Poly Market?
Kalshi goes to Hades.
I mean, look, that's where it belongs. Gosh, I hate all that little, what do they even call it? It's not betting, it's prediction markets.
That's it,
yeah, okay,
exactly.
Sure. That's cool. That'll make it appeal to teenagers. So, anyway, Percy Jackson, he says, "Bob, I need you." He's not feeling confident about it. He looks around and his vision starts to flicker, and he sees that Tartarus is actually worse than what he has been seeing. And only in this moment where he's feeling all of this pain and is close to death that he realizes that there's a phenomenon going on that is similar to the mist, which will stop the magical Greek mythological things from being seen by mortals on Earth. Now he's seeing, oh my goodness, there's a situation where because I'm a demigod, I'm being protected from the evils that I can't even handle. And that's wild, because you always think of, with the mist, like, oh, these mortals, they're so naive. They can't see a beast like Pompeii. It would be so scary. And that really puts into perspective how evil Tartarus must be, because Percy Jackson has seen some stuff. So if there needs to be some sort of underworld Tartar mist that makes it to where he can't see what's going on, like, it must be really bad.
Yeah, I love him getting into this and the exploration of this, because like the entire ideas of just like reality not being, like you mentioned, like the mist is already a thing, but yeah, Tartar mist, there's another level to it, but it like takes a whole thing of like, is anything you know real? And it gets into kind of like eldritch horror territory of just like, even if you perceived it for a moment, you might be like driven insane. But it also is like, I don't know, have you watched Project Hail Mary?
I have not yet. I've heard it's very good, though.
Okay. I won't say...
we won't spoil it.
No, I won't spoil any
terms.
There's a character who perceives things in a different way than most people perceive things.
Okay.
If any of you have seen it, you know what I'm talking about. And I couldn't help but like think of that, of just like, I have a dog. I've mentioned Nandor before on the podcast. And sometimes in my mind, I'm just like, oh, he sees things how I do. But I'm just like, he doesn't have the same color spectrum and rods and cones that I have in my eyes. And so like, can he see demons or like things like that? And that, like, when he's barking at something, he's just like, you don't know what it's really like down here. And like, and Percy finally got to have like that vision for a moment, and it's really interesting and scary and terrifying. But this also feels like one of those things that we're like going to touch on it for a second. And then I'm guessing, since there's a book 5, maybe they make it out of Tartarus. I don't know. Maybe. I'm honestly not sure. But if they do, is there going to be that part of Percy for the rest of his life who's like, I can't unsee the things that I've seen? And it'll be like a Frodo and the Grey Havens thing where he's just like, I can't ever be happy again because my mind was driven insane by these dark things.
My guess is going to be no. I mean, we'll have to see how it continues. I'm guessing no, because it was like such a flicker. Like, it was so quick. that it just was enough for him to realize the situation without him like having to really come to grips with like what he has actually seen. It's more of just knowing like, oh, it's worse than we've been seeing, and it's already been really bad. Oh my goodness.
And I don't want to step on your toes if it's the next thing you mentioned, but
Sure.
like in that vision, he's like, oh, we're all part of Tartarus's body.
Yep, the quote is, quote, the air was the breath of Tartarus. All these monsters were just blood cells circulating through his body. Everything Percy saw was a dream in the mind of the dark god of the pit.
Are any of you old enough to have ridden on Body Wars at Epcot? Okay.
How does this go?
There was a ride where you get like shrunken down and injected into a human body.
Oh, okay, so it's basically Magic School Bus inside Ralphie.
Yeah, but that they probably got that from this ride, I'm guessing, or something, or like you had to like fight against like bad blood cells.
Yeah, you're like a
and
white
stuff
blood cell. You're taking out viruses and bacteria and stuff.
So it very much like made me think of that, but like that's also like a cool way to think of it. It also made me like think of like at the end of Men in Black when it's just like, oh, we're all in a bunch of marbles being played by an alien, of just like your reality and what you know of it is like, I don't know. The body thing really worked for me. I was
It
on
was
board.
called Body Wars.
Body Wars.
Did it come out after Star Wars?
Yes.
Is that how they got the name where they were like, well, these are fighting in space. We're fighting in the body. Body Wars. Like, it's such a terrifying, like, you're an 8-year-old kid. Mom, Dad, can we ride Body Wars? So, like, that is a wild name for a roller coaster. I mean, it sounds awesome. I feel like I got to pull up a YouTube video about what it was like.
You should. And though what you just said are probably words that directly came out of my mouth when I was at Epcot at the age of 8.
Let me go on Body Wars. Yeah, that'd be great. I'm down. Bring back Body Wars. Come on.
You cowards.
Yeah, do it. Bring it back. So, Percy thinks that this must be how Nico D'Angelo sees Tartarus, and that might be true, and that would explain a lot about Nico D'Angelo. So I get it. I can see it. I get it. Percy, in this moment, regrets not treating Nico better. And I think that that's interesting because in the previous chapters, we had the revelation that Nico was very nice in telling Bob to help Percy out. So Nico has been doing Percy a solid, and Percy already feels bad about the way he treated Bob. Now he's feeling bad about the way he treated Nico. He's really trying to come to grips with the shortcomings of his past. And it's interesting. I like that we're getting more and more about Nico, and I'm excited because I like him, but it hasn't, this book is kind of like seeming to be the most we're getting from him, because in every other book some terrible fate befalls Nico, or he's busy doing some other off-book side quest. So for him to like be around and for us to learn more about him, whether it's the chapters where he's actually there or the Annabeth Percy ones, is fun.
Yeah, I mean, not to talk about like all the books that I just read, but like, sure, spent a whole book without air in a jar. Yeah. And then clearly since then, every time we like get a moment with him, he's clearly not okay.
No.
And so like Percy for the first time being like, oh, maybe I should like check on my friend. I'm like, again.
Shouldn't have taken this long.
No, should not have. But
so the RI tell Percy to give up. Percy apologizes. They get very excited, but Percy clarifies that the apology he's giving is to Bob. He says that he should have treated him better, and he asks for Bob to watch over Annabeth. And Percy, again, doesn't really feel like Bob is going to do anything. He's not feeling confident, but it feels good to clear his conscience. So he thinks about how he cannot blame anyone else for this situation. He should have checked in on Calypso, and maybe she cursed Annabeth on her way out. That's why this particular curse is going on. And he admits that he has not given her any thought since the action transpired in the 4th book when he was on her island and then left. And honestly, same. I didn't think about her either, so we're good. But he does let us know, as the narrator, that the moon lace, the plant that she gave him as a parting gift, is still in his mom's window box. Sally Jackson still has the moon lace in her little planter at home, which I think is very sweet.
But like Sally's got to be cursed by that plant, right?
Oh, is that how the plant works?
I have no idea. But I'm like, if she like cursed him over him being like, I'm going to help you out, and then she just never heard anything. Yeah. Like it also doesn't feel like the way that it was told in the books. I have a hard time believing that she would have put this curse in place, because she got left by Odysseus and by Francis Drake, and so like it seemed she was like, this is my curse. I've been cursed. This happens to me over and over and over again. If she has any like unless she's just like completely bitter about it, which didn't seem like her characterization.
Correct.
It's wild to me that she'd be like, oh, this woman that I've never met, I'm going to curse her.
Because Percy's going back to her.
Yeah, and if she's willing to do that to Annabeth, I feel like she would also be willing to do that to whoever got the plant.
Yeah, okay. I guess that's interesting. We'd have to figure out, like, because they don't really make it clear, right? They don't say in the chapter what exactly happened. Percy just kind of thinks like, oh, maybe that deal that I made with Hephaestus, he didn't honor it. Maybe because it gives us the assumption that she has died, and then because she would have to have a dying breath. So maybe like that's how I at least interpreted it.
But she's a Titan, isn't she?
Calypso?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes?
Then,
no?
Yeah. She's
okay.
immortal.
Yeah. So like she wouldn't have had a dying breath.
Okay. I guess just when the RI did it, it was like people with their dying breath did it, but I guess you don't have to die. It could just be like a final thing. So
it could also be Rick playing a little fast and loose with the
rules.
rules.
And maybe it's something it's like in the fleeting moment when Percy left, she was like, grumble, grumble, Annabeth. And that was enough for the RI to be like, we'll roll with that. Like, so
again,
maybe
cut somebody off in traffic. You're really screwed.
Right? It's like, maybe it was this fleeting moment of negative, the incident. And maybe it happened for Odysseus and maybe it happened for Sir Francis Drake, like in the moment, just being like really angry and then coming out of that anger. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was a very weird way that it was left. Like Percy left on as good of terms as he could have while still continuing the story, but he still isn't great. Now we feel even less great about it. It's a complicated situation. It's only gotten more complicated.
It is. But story-wise, it works great for him to be like suffering because of having to watch her instead of just dealing with physical pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's crank it up.
Yeah. Oh, like the curse is not on Annabeth, on Percy, and Percy's curse is that he can't help Annabeth. As opposed to like the ones that are making him bleed and stuff.
Porque no los dos. They're both cursed by it.
It's all very interesting. It's all good. I love it. These chapters rule. So Percy uses his final bit of strength to stand up because he plans to go out fighting. And then the chapter ends with the following quote, but before he could strike, all the RI in front of him exploded into dust. So I just wrote on my notes, Bob, in all caps. And then that's the end of this chapter, which I have retitled, No Regrets, Strike Through, Some Regrets. Do you have a retitling of chapter 31?
The hierarchy of anthropomorphism.
Ooh.
And I'll dive into it right now. As the story has gone on, I feel like it's kind of like as you get higher up the ranks of like power in the Greek and Roman god systems.
Sure.
It's kind of like, oh, but the gods are actually jerks. But no, the gods are all right. No, well, the Titans are kind of jerks. No, the Titans are all right. Oh, well, like
the giants, like, the immortal yeah.
Eventually, there's always going to be a version of one of them where you're like, maybe they're not so bad, and maybe we shouldn't have rushed to judgment. And where does that end? I don't know.
It might end at Twotarus.
And so clearly, like with Bob, it's just like, it's really anthropomorphized or humanized him in being like, what is he really in this chapter? We kind of explore a little bit of just like, what does he feel bad about or sorrow about or his own regret? It's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm jumping forward like...
Oh, I like it. I think it's good because, yeah, we got to think complex things about Titans now, and the new level up of that is just like Tartarus feels like the new pure evil, but are we going to, in Trials of Apollo, be like, maybe Tartarus had a bad rap? And then we go to Tartarus 2, Twotarus. So, chapter 32 is called Percy. We'll retitle it. It opens with, quote, Bob seriously knew how to use a broom. He is tearing through the demons while Small Bob, the skeleton cat, is sitting atop his shoulder, hissing at the RI with an arched back.
I would die for Small Bob.
Small Bob. Yeah. So cute. So wonderful. The RI are gone within seconds, most of them being vaporized by Big Bob's boomerang, but a bunch of them also just fleeing the scene, screaming in terror as they do so. Percy wants to thank Bob, but he just cannot summon any words. He's in too much pain to like physically make any words come out of his mouth. And then he sees Annabeth walking too close to the cliff's edge, so he just lets out a grunt to get Bob's attention. And then Bob traces where Percy is looking and sees what he was trying to draw his attention to. And he hops on over to Annabeth, scoops her up, and then brings her back to Percy, so she seems to be okay. He touches her forehead and he says, owie. And then Annabeth is healed. And then narrator Percy says, quote, she saw Percy and a series of expressions flashed across her face. Relief, joy, shock, horror. And then she frantically asks Percy what has happened to you. And I don't know if she asks Bob or Percy. She asks aloud, what's happened to Percy? And narrator Percy says, quote, Percy wanted to tell her it was okay, but of course it wasn't. He couldn't even feel his body anymore. His consciousness was like a small helium balloon loosely tied to the top of his head. It had no weight, no strength. It just kept expanding, getting lighter and lighter. He knew that soon it would either burst or the string would break and his life would float away. What a description of being on the verge of death.
I read that back like 3 times to be like, what is he really like trying to visualize it, but also just, I don't know, rolling with it. And
I think it's just like he feels it kind of like moving away, and one way or the other, it's either going to like fade away with the string going, or like it's going to just like pop all at once and then he's just going to lose it. It felt very much like the thing in the movie where it's like, hang in there, don't go into the light. Like it felt like one of those in a more calm sense without someone, like screaming at you. But all of it just made me think, Bob, get in there. Come on, please, Bob, help him out. Please, 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 please. Annabeth is trying to care for Percy. She's cradling him in her arms. She's kissing him. She's wiping the dirt off of him, like trying to do anything to make him feel better. And then Bob answers Annabeth's question, saying that Percy is dealing with a lot of curses. They have all stacked on top of each other. And this is all the result of how he has treated monsters over the years. Now, Annabeth asks if Bob can fix Percy in the way that Bob fixed her, and Bob frowns, and he then tries to remove his name tag from his uniform because he's got the janitor uniform that says Bob, and she says his name again to get his attention, like, Bob, hey, come on, can you help him? And he says Iepetus before Bob. It was Iepetus. And Annabeth says that she likes Bob better in a tone so calm that it shocks Percy, which I think this would make it seem like Annabeth is in planning mode. She's got something that she's going for. But I also was surprised that she was so calm and not like frantically being like, come on, snap out of this, help our friend. What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that in that moment, she might be more afraid of like, oh, this Titan is back. Mm-hmm. Like, instead of yelling at the person who just remembered, I'm kind of a horrible god creature. I perceived it to be a little bit more just like concern and be like, oh no, of like, yeah, you're not going to yell at this person that you think is going to run you through with a spear.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Recognizing the power on the other side and trying not to upset them. I get it. Yeah. So then she asks Bob which of the names he prefers. And Bob says he's not sure anymore, but then he crouches down next to Percy and looks at him, quote, as if he suddenly felt the weight of all of his centuries. And he says that he promised Nico that he would help Percy, and he believes that neither Bob nor Iepetus is one who would like to break a promise. So he touches Percy's forehead and he goes, owie, very big owie. And I thought that was sweet and cute and funny all at the same time. Percy starts to feel better with his consciousness returning to his body, but he still feels like he, quote, had swallowed a deep fryer, which we've all felt. We all have been under this pain. And at first I was like, what is he trying to get at? And then as the narrator, he lets us know that he can still feel the poison inside of him. It's slowed down, but it has not been removed. And I was like, okay, the Gorgon's blood is still kind of in there. Maybe he's taken the equivalent of like a Tums or a Pepto-Bismol or something, but it has not extracted the poison.
Why wouldn't he say like he had swallowed boiling oil? Because when I hear swallowed a deep fryer, I think of like when you see a snake that ate an entire bird. It's just like, it's Percy, but with the shape of a deep fryer inside of him.
This is exactly what I was thinking. And that's why it took me a beat when it first said it. I was like, what are you talking about, Rick? And then they said the poison. I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, you're right. It should be boiling oil.
I'm also picturing like a McDonald's industrial deep fryer, which is
with
huge.
the big, they got the rectangular things and the racks go out. I also envisioned the exact same thing. Not a small deep fryer, a giant,
maybe not his finest simile, but like, I mean, hey, it caught my attention.
I mean, it definitely tracks for Percy because I've made this sort of joke on the podcast before where he says like, oh, I felt like getting run over by a tank. And it's like, right, we all know what that feels like. It happens a lot. So I think Percy is a teenage boy narrator just being very dramatic. I think that's how he rolls, and it works. But yes, the bubbling oil would have made more sense than the entirety of the deep fryer. But maybe that's how he feels, and we shouldn't negate his feelings.
That's true. That's true. He's going through a lot.
He's going through quite a bit. So he can feel that this poison is slowed down, but not removed. But no matter, he is thankful to be alive. Percy tries to thank Bob, but he cannot move his head up from his chest. Bob explains that he cannot fully heal Percy. There are just too many curses piled up. There's too much poison within him. So this is kind of the best that he can do right now. And then narrator Percy says, quote, Annabeth hugged Percy's shoulders. He wanted to say, I can feel that now. Ow, too tight. So I love Annabeth giving him a real big squeezy hug. She asks Bob if there is any water nearby because that may heal him, given he is the son of Poseidon. I think that's smart, but also where would there be water? Absolutely where would there be water? We have not seen any, so that feels like a big ask. Bob replies, no water, Tartarus is bad. And then narrator Percy then says, I noticed Percy wanted to yell, which, yeah, dude, maybe it's for the best that he is in too much pain to be sassy to the person who kept him alive. Now, despite his frustration here, Percy has clocked that Bob has been referring to himself as Bob in the third person. So it at least seems like, okay, Bob is on our side. That's nice. This is good. And he is glad that Bob has chosen that name and is not, going by Iapetus and going to be a new monster that they have to fight a second time.
In that moment where Annabeth was like, she like saw like sentries like kind of appear on his face. And the first reading of that, I kind of, in this moment where he calls himself Bob again, the first thing that I'm thinking of is like, oh, he's remembering what Percy did to him. Mm-hmm. But I think maybe the bigger thing that's happening in this moment is he's remembering what he did to other people.
That's how I saw it. I think he looked back at the full history of Bob / Iapetus and was like, oh, the Iapetus era was not my best era.
No, I was inherently evil and only had a perception of things in a certain way. Again, these chapters kind of all about perception.
Yeah.
And now he has to rapidly adjust and figure out where he's aligned, what works for him, his own identity. There's so much to it. And I feel like I could spend a lot more time with this character, but I'm glad that he's at least choosing Bob for now.
Yeah, no, definitely what you want to see in this moment. Annabeth refuses to accept that there's no way to heal Percy. There's got to be something that they can do. Bob then places one of his hands on Percy's chest, which feels great, but the second he removes it, the pain instantly returns. So truly, they have to figure out something else. This isn't going to get the job done. Now, Bob explains that Tartarus kills demigods. It can heal monsters, but demigod heroes do not belong. Quote, the pit hates your kind. Annabeth says that she doesn't care. She's still holding on to the belief that something here can help, somewhere to rest or somewhere to find a cure, just something. And I like Annabeth trying to be as optimistic as she can be because she's not always the most optimistic. So I like that I think it just shows how much she cares for Percy, that she's going to be usually the way Percy is we'll figure it out. Everything's going to be okay. She's kind of taking on that role because she just needs Percy to be okay because she cares for him so deeply. I really liked it.
Yeah, I enjoy that she's taking that approach. I did think in the whole, this isn't sustainable for him to be is it only his hands, or could you build a BabyBjörn for Percy?
Oh, the
for
little
Bob and have
the little contact,
baby parent skin to skin time. Oh. And so he's just riding on front of Bob as they walk through Tartarus, and it keeps him at a reasonable health.
Now, being a sappy dad, missing doing that for my little one. Oh, just all snuggled in like a little potato. Yeah, they should do that. They should do that for sure.
Yeah.
And then small Bob can get in there too, and they can be little buddies.
I'm saying an opportunity so far appears to have been missed.
So then narrator Percy says, quote, in the distance, a deep voice bellowed, a voice that Percy recognized. Unfortunately, I smell him, roared the giant. Beware, son of Poseidon, I come for you. And I wrote in my notes, Polybides, 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 please be Polybides. Because I loved him as a giant. I thought he was so fun. His trash talk was great. He really hated Percy, and he was not in our lives long enough. So I was very much hoping that would be who it was. And lo and behold, Bob goes, Polybides. He hates Poseidon and his children. He is very close now.
I don't love Polybides.
Oh.
I feel like he's very one note.
Okay.
Yes, you're right. He does have good trash talking, but I feel like he kind of only exists in one mode. He could never have the moral clarity that Bob has.
Sure.
He's going to wake up and be like, I still hate you. And also my name is whatever my name is now.
Right.
He just doesn't have a lot of dimension to him.
Right.
That's fine.
He's not enough to be the big bad over the course of a whole series, but he's a fun, just that video game villain who's just really hard to beat, not necessarily someone that you care deeply about and you feel a lot of emotions with fighting, like a Riku from Kingdom Hearts kind of thing where it's like he's hard, and then also there's all the story stuff. It's just like, oh, big giant hard thing to fight, and I just thought he was fun and was not in The Son of Neptune for very long. So I thought when he went away, I was like, gosh, I would love that guy to come back for a little bit. Now he's coming back, and I think this is kind of, if they do have to fight him or whatever, like this is a perfect instance of, I don't want him to be the final thing that they have to face off, because I think there's more interesting people. We still have these two beings from the dreams we've seen and haven't really learned a lot about, and they're going to be interesting. But if he's a hurdle along the way, it could be a fun hurdle.
Absolutely. And like there also could be like, how loud is speculation? Am I allowed to
do anything? Because you haven't read past these chapters.
No,
so
I haven't.
Like it's all fair game.
So like for me, I'm like, this could be like classic like giant v giant in the underworld. And I'm also
Bob
like
versus Polybides.
They can't take Bob with them. He's too strong if he ends up being fully on the side. So in my mind, I'm like, maybe they fight each other
and then like
and Bob sacrifices him. Yeah,
Yeah, I'll deal with him. You guys go forward.
Yeah, takes Percy out of the BabyBjörn and tosses him through the door.
Yeah. And then it could be one of those things where it's like you go and then they're off fighting in the distance, you know, Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. And then like we don't know what's up.
Bobzilla.
Sure. And then Bob comes like in the last minute at the end of House of Hades, like comes flying in at the last moment to be like, I beat Polybides and I've been running this whole time. Like it could be interesting. Yeah, you're right. That's a good speculation. We'll have to see. We will have to see. But I, at this point, wrote him a note to clarify, like I'm only hyped that Polybides is here because I know that there are many other books to come. So I feel like they will overcome it. If this was me reading this, like when this came out, I don't know, because Polybides is very scary. So I wouldn't be ruling out that Percy would have the chance of dying in this book. But I think there's at least 8 more books with Percy in it, given context clues. So I think that he's probably going to be okay.
I really like, I see like the little lists or whatever, but I don't know who's and what and all that stuff. But yeah, that seems like probably a safe assumption.
Yeah. So Annabeth works to get Percy up on his feet, and Percy hates that he is causing her to have to use so much effort and energy, but he just feels like a sack of billiard balls, which we've all felt like at some point in time. He can barely stand up, even with her basically fully supporting his entire weight. And then Annabeth turns to Bob and says that she's going to move on with or without him. So she asks Bob, much like Heidi Klum on Project Runway, if he's in or if he's out. Then small Bob mews and purrs and rubs up against Bob's chest, which is good. Great job, small Bob. That's a very compelling argument. Bob then looks at Percy. Percy tries to read his expression, but he can't tell if Bob is looking at him with anger or with thoughtfulness, with contemplation. And then the book ends the chapter with the following, quote, "There is one place," Bob said at last. Annabeth almost dropped Percy. "There is a giant who might know what to do." "A giant? Bob, giants are bad." "One is good," Bob insisted. "Trust me, and I will take you, unless Polybides and the others catch us first." So I had wondered about there being a good giant. I think when giants were first introduced, or when Twotarus was first introduced, at some point in time, maybe it was when they were in Twotarus, I was like, I think even before Bob, I was like, they're just going to have to like hope that a giant is good. You know, it didn't seem likely. At least none was ever mentioned. So this is cool that it's happening. And the only good giant I can think of is the Iron Giant. So maybe...
There's the BFG.
Oh, yeah. He's big and friendly.
That's right, yeah. The Jolly Green.
Oh, yeah, hit him with some vegetables.
Andre
the,
what if it's Andre the Giant?
Like he just suplexes Polybides? Yeah.
He unfortunately, rest in peace, Andre the Giant has passed away. We don't know where he is.
So he could be, yeah, he that guy, I don't know enough about it. He seems like a good enough guy to not be in Twotarus, unless he's on vacation.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. No. There are some other good giants. Yeah. But I don't know.
Clifford?
Ooh. Clifford and Small Bob side quest could be very fun. Big red dog, small skeleton cat. Yeah. What antics will they get into?
Can't be up around. Cerberus will get jealous, so it got sent down to wrestled and Cerberus cast Clifford into Twotarus.
Wow! Oh, I like it. It's Rick. We got a book idea. But that is the end of chapter 32, which I have retitled Owie, very big Owie. What have you retitled chapter 32?
I'm just calling it A Promise of Clifford now.
I like it. Yeah. So that is the end of this portion of the episode. If you're listening to the podcast after the fact, so let's all say goodbye to the podcast people.
Bye, podcast people.
So that was our double bill live show episode of the New Olympian. Huge shout out to Carter for being a fantastic guest in Berkeley and Nathan for being a fantastic guest in Boise. Shout out to both of the improv teams that did improv with me at these shows. As I mentioned in the Midroll break, if you want to watch the video version of the Berkeley show one, just join the Patreon at any tier and you can have access to that. But thank you all so much for listening. I really do appreciate it. And until you hear something else from me, I'll foresee you later. Hey, thanks for listening to this episode of the New Olympian. This podcast is created, hosted, and produced by me, Mike Schubert. I also run the social media and the website. Our editor is Sherry Guo. The music is by Bettina Campomanes and Brendan Krugel, and the art is by Jessica E. Boyd. If you can't get enough of the show, you can go to thenewsolympian.com/Patreon for bonus episodes, bonus content, ad-free episodes, a whole bunch of fun stuff. If you want to interact with the community around the show, you can check out the Discord, which is available to all patrons, or we're on social media. We're at New Olympian on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Twitter. And we've got a subreddit, reddit.com/r/thenewest-olympian. You can also show your love for TNO by getting TNO merch at thenewsolympian.com/merch. Of course, want to give a huge shout out to our producer level patrons, Kelsey Gillespie, Vicky Garcia, Frida Vikstrom, Megan Moon, Polly Burge, Nikki Harris, Tatiana Schmidt, Sandra Rose, Josh Sayer, Sam Reeby, Mrs. O'Leary, Milo Kim, Sandkopf, Rayla Matthews, Sky Mallory, Mick Walters, Grace, Ginger Spursboy, Bradimus Prime, Skylar Sisters, Scott Sheldon, Ann M. Thayer Cohen, Bella, Percy Jacked Son, Kit Kat Crumbs, Jim Jam Koopy, Andrea, not Andrea, Jordan Ray, Nico's Black, Vespa, Zayden Wintergate, Terry Rothfuzz, Certified Ghost King's emotional support friend, Lee Hartley, Persasabeth, and Alex DeLong. If you want to support the show in a non-monetary way, word of mouth is essential for podcast growth. You can tell a friend directly, say, hey, there's this Percy Jackson podcast I think you would like, check it out. You could leave a rating and review on whatever podcasting app you're using, or you could just talk about the show on social media. All these things really do help. I really appreciate anyone who has done so in the past, and I appreciate anyone who will do so in the future. But I'm just so thankful that you tuned into this episode, and I hope you tune into our next episode, where we'll be joined by Morgan Danielle to break down chapters 33 and 34 of the House of Hades. But until then, I'll foresee you later. Hey everyone, how's it going? It's me, ASMR Mike. So where I'm recording this, there's a little desk tucked away in this room, and I'm going to just kind of like tap along the desk and stuff. I'm using my MacBook laptop microphone. So here's me kind of running my fingers on the table. Here's me hitting my nails up and down the leg. And here's me running. There's like a paper wall art piece behind it. Thank you so much for listening.